Welcome to the BetterTools tutorial. Today I'll be showing you the basics of how to use BetterTools and what all you can do with it. It's a plugin I created to be centered mainly around brushes and the ease of using them. So let me show you what you can do with BetterTools really quickly. Every single one of these brushes will be able to be made with just the bit that I'll be showing you in this tutorial. Um, all the things I'll be introducing you to. And of course, you can do more than just this, but just some examples of the kind of powerful stuff you can do with just these uh, these six parameters. These first six parameters. So the noise method parameter at the very bottom, I'll be going over in another video after this, which will be slightly more advanced. It'll show you how you can use these brushes to be able to do things such as this, which can be very powerful, and I use them all of the time. For example, using this brush here to make a nice little path. The whole idea being that there's randomness, but the randomness is sort of in chunks, um, rather than just randomly skewing all over the place. And it's very, very nice to be able to use. Um, just stuff like this can be done. It's really powerful. But that's for the next video, so I will go over that there if you're interested in learning this kind of stuff, which I'd highly recommend. For now, though, this video will stick with the basics. So I will first go over really quickly what all you can do with the brushes, the items themselves, because it's a very important aspect. And there's some quality of life stuff you should probably know. First off, the lure. Of course, you can see the parameters of everything you've done for these brushes. Let's get some more simple brushes out first, actually. Let's see. So as you can see, it tells you what exactly each parameter is, and I'll be going over, like I said, these first six parameters today, and that will be all you'll need for 95% of all the brushes you make. What's nice about this is, since I'm doing this based off of NBT tags, you can drop them on the ground, you can give them to another player, you can put them into a chest, and they'll still be usable, which is a very handy tool. You can log off, and you'll be able to come back, and they'll still be working just fine. On top of that, I'm sure you've noticed, you can save them in your hotbar, or in your saved hotbars tab here, which not only means can you switch between a whole set very easily, you can also go to other servers, and as long as that server has BetterTools installed on it, you'll be able to use them just the same. And it's extremely quality of life. It's really nice. I know I've used it several times. I know my friends do still as well. In fact, if we come over here to where we're building a small project, you can see that each of these chests that are not opening for some reason, each of these chests are actually filled and labeled with a ton of different types of tools that we use very often. As far as changing the actual items of the brushes, you can do /BT set tool. As long as you're holding a tool in your inventory or in your hand, BT set tool to whatever, so say diamond axe, which would be diamond_axe, and there you go. Now it'll work just fine as a brush, but now it's a diamond axe, and yeah. Of course, there's BT undo, which you can do more than one at a time by putting a number afterwards. But let's start working on going down the list of these parameters and how exactly to tweak them. So first up, let's actually create a new brush for this. Let's see. So first off, to get a brush or a tool, do /BT tool, and that'll put it straight into your inventory. This is the default, right? Uh, Default, it replaces air with stone and air, which you can see here. Um, the masks is an air, that's what it's replacing, and painting stone and air. This is not really going to be helpful, so you probably want to change what exactly, um, how exactly this brush works, right? So let's go with the first parameter, radius. I don't think I need to spend too much time on this. It's pretty easy to figure out. It's radius. You change it by holding it in your hand, do /BT radius, and then you can change it to whatever you want, say 10. There is a limit based on the server config. By default, it's 25. The server owners can up that if they wanted to, though I would recommend not going past around 50. It's usually as high as I risk it personally, but you can technically go higher if you think your machine can handle it. But that's radius, very simple. Painting. So to change what exactly you're painting, you do /BT blocks, and then whatever block you want to change. In this case, let's say blue wool. Why not? Blue wool. Now you'll be painting in the air blue wool. Pretty basic, not very complex. Probably still not that useful unless you're trying to do some terraforming or something. So let's see about adding more. Say we want purple wool speckled in there. We can do BT blocks, blue wool, comma, and of course remember to hold the tool in your hand, blue underscore wool, comma, no space, purple wool underscore wool. Now, when we paint it, it will be exactly that. It'll be 50% blue wool, 50% purple wool. If you're ever confused as to what the name of an object is, say paths, for example, I know I have problems with them occasionally because I always think of them as path blocks. But that's not what they are. They are actually grass paths, and you can see this by going over here, opening up F3 and going over to here, where it says Minecraft grass underscore path. And that means that whenever you want to make a tool out of it, all you'd need to do is look there, find out that. You can do /BT blocks grass path, and now you'll be painting path blocks. Let's reduce this radius. It's a bit high. But yeah, now you'll be painting path blocks, and if you wanted to combine this with something else, you totally can. Just add in a comma, and then whatever else you'd want. Say coarse dirt would be a good combo with grass paths. But this isn't that helpful. I mean, we're just filling the air with stuff. So how would we fix that? How would you want to, say, paint into the grass here? Well, it's pretty simple. That's the third parameter there, where it says masks air. That would be changed by doing BT mask, and then whatever you want. In this case, we want to paint on the grass, so let's do grass block. Again, if you don't know the ID of it, you just look at it with F3, and you look in that section. But now, we'll be painting a sort of like path. This isn't the best. I'd recommend maybe other bits of stuff in here, maybe gravel, but it would become a pretty decent path if you were to use it like this. The same thing can be done if you want to mask it into something else. Say we want to actually replace, at the same time, coarse dirt, which is coarse underscore dirt. So we can make it so it's grass underscore block, comma, no space, coarse dirt, and it'll start replacing the coarse dirt now as well. So what if we want to replace it with gravel? Well, that's pretty easy. We change the brush to gravel. Now we'll be changing all the coarse dirt to gravel as well as the grass. If you don't want to be changing the grass, then you can take it out of the mask. But that's all you really need to know about masks and painting, and that's as basic as it gets. That you can make very powerful brushes with just these three parameters, and you don't need to learn anything more. And that's all you would really need to make something like the very first brush we had, which is this, which is a path brush that I'm actually using in a current build of mine. Um, it's for a city. It's a very nice brush. It's just this here. Oh no, that's the wrong one. We'll just put that there. It's this here. Long list of items, but really nice result. This is also what we need for this to make the second brush, which is this one here, which sort of adds a nice texture to the grass, making it seem sort of like a, a, a worn down, poorly maintained bit of grass along the side of, say, a path or something like that. In this case, we've masked grass blocks, green concrete powder, and coarse dirt. The reason why we've masked onto coarse dirt and green concrete powder as well is because if we didn't, it would not replace it, and it would just replace the grass blocks. So it would look something like this. Now, doing it for the first time is fine, but if you were to go over or hold it a little too longer, it'll continue to replace the grass blocks, and it's not exactly what you want. I mean, you might want it, but that's why we have masked the things that we're placing down as well. But those are the basics. Now, the basics, the basics. Now, let's go on to the next bit, which is this brush here. So what this brush is doing is it's got an assortment. Okay, well there's two things going on here. Let's make a new brush here, right? So let's say that you want to have a path, which is mainly path blocks. So let's say BT blocks path, grass path, but maybe a little bit of gravel. Well, by default, that's not going to be very possible. Not with the stuff I've shown you so far. It's always going to be 50-50. Well, what you can do is instead of just putting grass underscore path, since you want it to say 5 times more is likely to show up than gravel, what we can do is 5% grass path. Now, this isn't just saying that it's going to be consistent, only a 5% grass path. The percent is just a separator more than anything. You read this as if there's 5 different instances of grass path in the list. So say it'd be path, grass, path. This, for example, with there being 3 different instances of grass path in the list, would be 3% grass path. And that means that whenever picks a random number and it goes through this list, it would be more likely to say it rolled a 2, well, then it'd be grass path. Rolled a 3, it'd still be grass path. Rolled a 4, then it's going to be gravel, but, and so on. So that's how you read it. It can be a little confusing, but it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it and you understand what's going on. So yeah, let's say 5% grass path. Now, if we go at this, we'll see that the grass path is very much more common. And we can continue this. We can do this with other things as well. Say 2% gravel. And then what about 1% coarse dirt would just be 1 coarse dirt. So we can just do this. Now, gravel is a little bit more common than coarse dirt, but path blocks are still way more common. And so that's how you use that. It's very simple, very easy to use. And so that's what we're doing with this here. As you can see, there's 3% grass, normal grass. So it's very common to see the grass. But it's also 5% air, which means it's way more common for it to just not place anything. And that's how you get these sort of like patchy looks without filling everything up with grass or flowers or whatever. So as you can see, it's masked to air. But why is it not just putting flowers all over the place? Well, like this, for example. If we don't change anything, then it's just going to do this, and that's not what we want. So how do we change that? Well, that's on to the next parameter. We'll skip through for now. touching. This is a pretty basic parameter as well. If it's touching a certain surface, then it will be placed. If it's not, then it won't be. And what this the command for this is bt touching. In this case, we want it to touch grass blocks. So now if we do this again, it'll only put it around and on the grass, touching the grass. Now you have to keep in mind, this here would be considered touching these two. So when you use this, it will put this into here, but either for a large scene where that kind of stuff doesn't matter too much, or say, just a large scene where it'll be faster to go through and just make sure you get rid of all that stuff. It's a very handy tool. That's the basics of this tool, and that's all you would need to know to make this. These next few brushes are where you get into block states. Now, here's what we're doing here, right? As you can see, we're masking farmland to grass blocks. If we make a new tool here, and we make it farmland, and we mask it to grass blocks, it's not moisturized like this is. Well, how do we fix that? That's how we get into block states. Every block in Minecraft, most blocks, unless it's a basic, well, a very basic block, like say stone bricks, have block data. And you can see this in the same place as where you would see the name or the ID of the block right below it. So if we look at farmland, for example, it has moisture 0. That's because this has no moisture at all. But if we look at these here that I just painted, it has moisture 7. This is the most wet and dampened that farmland can get. What this means is we can change this within BetterTools itself. To be able to change the actual block data, we use square brackets after an item. So we would use square brackets, and then in this case, since it's called moisture, we'd put moisture equals, and then whatever we'd want. Max is 7, so we'll do 7 since we want it to be really wet. And we wanted the farmland to be 10 times more common than just 1, then we can do that just fine. We can also make it so that we can put multiple different types of farmland with different block states in the same list. So say farmland moisture 6, why not? Or no, let's do 3. 3. Well, now when we paint this, you'll see 10 times more likely it'll be super damp than occasionally you'll get these really barely wet bits of farmland here. And that's all you really need to make the farmland so far. So same thing with this wheat brush here. All we've done is we're painting wheat at age 7 and age 6 to give a little bit of variation. We're having it touch farmland, so it'll only go above farmland or near farmland at the very least. And yeah, so now we just do this. And you can use this block data on masks as well. So if you, for example, only wanted to paint wheat on top of farmland that is completely moisturized, you can easily put that into the mask of the farmland, or of the touching, sorry. But it works for masks as well. Masks and touching, it works. Something else I want to mention real quick is the ability for this brush here, for example, which is painting spruce slabs and masked to oak slabs, painting it from one to the other. So in other plugins that do very similar things, when you have these 3 types of slabs, which these are all considered oak half slabs if you look to the right, of F3, but you can see their type is different. So you have bottom, double, top. And what that means is whenever they would go and search for, in this case, an oak slab, it would look at the default block state which would be this one here. So if you were to run this brush with other plugins, it would essentially just do this, and then you'd have to change the block state to double, so you could change it to this, and then you'd have to change it to top, so it would do this. And it would be very tedious, especially with stairs. Especially with stairs, because stairs have, what is it, 8 different states just alone, without them being flipped upside down. What BetterTools does is, as long as you don't put in block data, it changes it automatically. So, for example, if I were to run this command, it will do this. It'll look and see and find all of them. And it doesn't matter, as long as it's a half slab, it'll change it. And you can do this for any other type of block as well. You should do anyways. It's likely that I've not been able to test something and I've missed something, but if you just let me know, then I can fix that. Lickety split. It should be very easy to fix. And this is for any block data. For example, stairs. If we were to look at stairs, get oak and spruce. If I were to have this brush be something like replace all the oak with spruce stairs, and we have something like this, it will change all of these unless you specify it otherwise. It would change all of these to this. So if you're wanting to change some maybe roofs in a large town of yours or that you're making or something like that, very easy and very quick to do. That's all you need for those. We're almost done. The final thing is the through parameter. It's a very basic parameter, something I added because I really needed it. It's really handy for terraforming, especially underwater. Essentially what it does is it lets you terraform through water without any problem, or any other block if you wanted, but really only ever going to be used with water. And so the way this works is the through parameter, if we were to set it, so it's BT through, and say we just set it to air, which is default, then whenever we try to say, remove this and replace this with water, well, it hits this bit here instead of that there because it's seeing this water and thinking, oh, it's a block. So it's a bit of a pain to try to terraform because you'd have to go into here, you'd have to go right up to it and have to worry about that. But if you do /BT through air, comma water, you don't need to have air, but I'd kind of recommend it. Now it won't get stopped. You can do this with other blocks too, say grass blocks. You could do that as well. There wouldn't be so much more, as much of a reason, I wouldn't imagine, but hey, it's an option. You can do it. That is essentially all of the parameters that you need to learn for the basics, the very, very basics of this plugin. With all of these, these parameters that I've shown you and how to deal with them and how they work, you'll be able to create this brush here, which is essentially an underwater seagrass terraforming thing. It's a little clunky, and it could be used for refinement. For example, some of this stuff, because I have block updates on with it, which you can turn on and off with BT block updates, and then true or false. So if we wanted to turn it on to false, then we can. We don't have to worry about it. But the reason why I have them on is because of this here. The touching thing considers this stone, and so it's like, well, we can put things here. With block updates off, or rather on, it'll automatically break all this stuff, which works mostly, but kelp is a little awkward with block updates, so that's why it's not really, it's being a little awkward, so it requires a little bit of cleanup, but it's a very quick and easy way to do it compared to placing everything manually or, along those lines. You can also, of course, turn off block updates or turn on block updates to use terraforming or something along those lines. But this is all you need to know. All these basics will be all you need to know for 95% of the brushes. I hope you enjoy Better Tools and make some cool stuff with it. I'll be linking the advanced tutorial for the noise algorithms, which again are things like this, which are very, very handy when you know how to use them. I'll be linking it in the description. If you want to check that out, I'd highly recommend it, as it looks like it might be complicated, but once you learn and figure out what each of these parameters does, then you'll be able to make some really cool stuff with it. But I'll see you there if you join me.